Franz Ferdinand are a Scottish rock band formed in 2002, and based in Glasgow. The band is composed of Alex Kapranos, Bob Hardy, Nick McCarthy, and Paul Thomson. The band has been nominated for several Grammy Awards. They have been nominated for several BRIT Awards in the UK, and have won an NME Award. With their 4 studio albums, the band sold over 3 million albums worldwide in 2009. To date, the band have released 4 studio albums: Franz Ferdinand, You Could Have It So Much Better, Tonight, Franz Ferdinand and Right Thoughts, Right Words, Right Action, as well as several extended plays, numerous singles, 1 remix album, of their 3rd studio album, Blood, and 1 DVD titled Franz Ferdinand. History, Formation, Darts of Pleasure. The members of Franz Ferdinand played in various bands during the 1990s, including the Carolina, Yummy Fur, 10p Invaders, and Embryo. Alex Kapranos and Paul Thomson met at a party and began a close friendship and played together in Yummy Fur, and subsequently teamed up to write songs. Around the same time, Kapranos taught his friend, Bob Hardy, how to play bass after being given a bass guitar by Mick Cook of Bell and Sebastian. Kapranos met co-guitarist Nick McCarthy, who had returned to Scotland after studying jazz bass in Germany, in 2001. Franz Ferdinand's longtime sound engineer is Michael Parker. In May 2003 the band signed to Lawrence Bell's independent record label, Domino Records. The band had recorded an EP which they intended to release themselves. It was released by Domino as Darts of Pleasure in the latter part of 2003. The band won the Philip Hall Radar Award at the NME Awards of 2004, announced in November 2003. Franz Ferdinand. The band moved to Gula Studios in Malmö Paragraph, Sweden, with Cardigan's producer Tor Johansson to record their debut album. In January 2004 the single Take Me Out reached No. 3 in the UK charts. The album, Franz Ferdinand, was released in early 2004, debuting at No. 3 in the UK Albums Chart in February 2004, and at No. 12 in the Australian album charts in April 2004. The album only reached the lowest levels of the Billboard 200 album charts in the US as of early 2004, but reached a top 5 of the indie rock chart and the Heat Seeker chart for debut artists. After a couple of North American tours and heavy rotation of the Take Me Out video on MTV, the album eventually reached No. 32 on the Billboard 200 later in 2004, and sold over 1 million copies in the United States. Franz Ferdinand received a generally strong positive response from critics. NME rated it 9 out of 10, and said that the band was the latest in the line of art school rock bands featuring the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, The Who, Roxy Music, the Sex Pistols, Wire, Travis, and Blur. On September 7, 2004 the album was awarded the 2004 Mercury Music Prize. Take Me Out gained first place in the Australian Triple J Hottest 100 for 2004, winning more than twice the votes of the second-place entry, with This Fire and The Dark of the Matinee entering at No. 24 and No. 50 respectively. Franz Ferdinand won an Ivor Novello Award in 2004 and 2 BRIT Awards in 2005. The avant-garde music video for Take Me Out earned them a Breakthrough Video MTV Award. NME named Franz Ferdinand the Best Album of 2004, and placed it 38th on their 100 Best Albums of All Time list. The band performed Take Me Out as a live medley with Los Lonely Boys, Maroon 5, The Black Eyed Peas, and Gwen Stefani at the Grammy Awards of 2005, in which Franz Ferdinand was nominated for Best Alternative Album. Take Me Out was featured on the video games NHL 2005, Madden NFL 2005 and the breakthrough game Guitar Hero. The album has sold around 3.6 million copies worldwide. You Could Have It So Much Better. The band spent much of 2005 in the studio in Glasgow working on their follow-up album, You Could Have It So Much Better, which was released on October 3, 2005. The band initially intended to leave the album self-titled like their debut, but they changed it to You Could Have It So Much Better, with Franz Ferdinand before settling on the final title. The album's cover design was modeled on Alexander Rodchenko's 1924 portrait of Lilia Breek. The band attempted to broaden its musical range on the album. Hardy said, "There's more to life than disco beat guitar music." It was generally well received in the press and seen as an album equal to, or better than, their first by most critics. It entered the UK album charts at number 1 and the US charts at number 8. To support the album, 4 singles were released. Included in that set is a double A-side single that contained a video clip-only single as well. Also included is another video clip-only single called Wine, in the Afternoon, which is the B-side to Eleanor Put Your Boots On, and was also not featured on the album, but recorded on tour in Michigan. Do You Want to made it to number 4 and was declared by Q to be the greatest single of 2005, while Walk Away and The Fallen/L Wells entered the top 15 of the UK singles chart. The fourth and final single from the second album, Eleanor Put Your Boots On, peaked at number 30. Tonight, Franz Ferdinand. On January 26, 2009, the band released their third studio album, Tonight, Franz Ferdinand, which they had been recording in Glasgow since mid-2007. Alex Kapranos has stated that the last record was like a teenager having sex. This one's a bit more assured and a bit friendlier for the dance floor. Tonight was mixed by Canadian mix engineer Mike Fraser. The song Ulysses was chosen to be the first single and was released on January 19, 2009. It was first played by Zane Lowe on November 17, 2008. Shortly afterwards it hit YouTube. It did not see that much success in the UK Top 40, reaching only No. A20, but it fared better in Spain and Japan where it reached No. A2 and No. A3 respectively. It also entered the top 20 of the US Modern Rock chart. The album, Tonight, was released January 26, 2009 and debuted at No. A2 in the UK album chart and No. A9 in the US Billboard 200. The second single, No You Girl, saw success both in the charts and on the radio prior to release, eventually reaching No. A7 on the US Modern Rock chart and was performed by Franz Ferdinand on Comic Relief 2009 Top of the Pop special. Can't Stop Feeling was released on July 6 as the third single from the album, and on August 28, What She Came For was released as the fourth single in the form of a remix single. The band performed What She Came For on The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien on Wednesday 26 August 2009. The band appeared on Radio 1's Live Lounge performing their second single No You Girls, and did a cover of Britney Spears' comeback single Womanizer. In February 2009, Glastonbury Festival announced Franz Ferdinand as the first major band playing at that year's festival. The band also unveiled a 19-day tour of the USA during the spring, in support of the new album. The tour included a set at the Coachella Festival. The band were also one of the main stage acts performing at Radio 1's Big Weekend in Swindon in May. On May 6, 2009, it was announced that Franz Ferdinand would be the third opening act for the Green Day's 21st Century Breakdown World Tour. He played from 8 to August 26, 2009, and they followed Kaiser Chiefs and The Bravery. On June 1, 2009, the band released Blood, a compilation album that includes dub music versions of songs from Tonight, Franz Ferdinand. The release was timed to coincide with Record Store Day. iTunes Festival, London 2009, iTunes Store exclusive, was released in June as well. Also made for the Record Store Day, on April 16, 2011, Domino released the compilation Covers EP, which featured songs of Tonight, Franz Ferdinand played by Peaches, LCD Soundsystem, Stephen Merritt, ESG and Debbie Harry. The first edition was only vinyl, and on May 2, 2011 it was released on CD. Right Thoughts, Right Words, Right Action. In February 2010, the band announced they had started to work on a new album. Kapranos stated that the band promised themselves they would also focus on not over-publicizing their progress, as he felt that's something he regretted about their previous album. In May 2012, the band returned to touring, playing several festivals during the summer of 2012, including a headlining slot at Field Day Festival in London's Victoria Park. Other appearances included Barcelona's Primavera Sound Festival, Montreal's 2012 Osheaga Music Festival, Chicago's 2012 Lollapalooza Music Festival, Belgium's DO Festival, Portugal's Mara Copyright S5's Festival and San Francisco's 2012 Outside Lands Music Festival. During their 2012 tour, the band gradually introduced new songs to their repertoire, along with a reworked version of Tonight Cut Can't Stop Feeling combined with I Feel Love by Donna Summer. In March 2013, Franz Ferdinand continued touring and premiering new songs. In early March they performed Evil Eye and Love Illumination, while the end of the month saw the live premiere of Goodbye Lovers and Friends. On May 16, 2013, Franz Ferdinand officially announced their fourth album, titled Right Thoughts, Right Words, Right Action, along with cover art, track listing, and a release date of August 26, 2013. The band launched the new album at a show at the Electric Brixton. FMV magazine's Dan Jenko praised the gig, saying that there's no reason why latest LP Right Thoughts, Right Words, Right Action can't be the belated soundtrack of the summer. Collaborations and covers. Franz Ferdinand covered the LCD Soundsystem song All My Friends, which appeared as a B-side on the single, and is also working on an album of Sparks covers, collaborating with the group on the recordings. They have also covered Sexy Boy by Air and It Won't Be Long by the Beatles, Pulp's popular single Misshapes, Gwen Stefani's top 5 hit, What You Waiting For? And Blondie's Call Me. Recently covered the Britney Spears song Womanizer, and David Bowie's song Sound and Vision, featuring Girls Aloud on backing vocals, for a compilation disc marking the 40th anniversary of BBC Radio 1, along with other leading artists. Additionally, Franz Ferdinand recorded a cover of the Fire Engines song Get Up and Use Me. In return, the Fire Engines recorded a cover of Jacqueline. The band also took a similar approach with Dutch band De Kift, covering the song Huize Ho whilst De Kift recorded a cover of Love and Destroy with Dutch lyrics. The cover by De Kift is named Liefde en Puin, which is the title Love and Destroy translated into Dutch. The band has had remixes by electronic artists Daft Punk, Hot Chip, Justice, The Avalanches, Microfilm, and Errol Alkan. Kapranos announced that on April 22, 2008 he would begin collaborating with an unknown Canadian artist, as well as implying that the band was working with Xenomania on the new album, as Alex is a fan of their work with Girls Aloud. The band also performed, played, and recorded with Jane Birkin, covering the Serge Gainsbourg song Sorry Angel for the 2005 album Monsieur Gainsbourg Revisited. In addition, Franz re-recorded the track Brown Onions for David Shrigley's compilation album Worried Noodles. The band kept instrumentation identical but used lyrics written by Shrigley which include the consistent repetition of the word no, and occasionally no brains, no teeth, no legs, no eyes. Hot Chip, a band who are reported to be a favorite of Franz Ferdinand, also performed their own version of No on the same album. The band met Gorillaz in December 2005, and interviewed each other for a feature in Observer Music Monthly. At the 2009 NME Award ceremony they performed a cover of Blondie's Call Me with Ellie Jackson of La Ruse on guest vocals. When Franz appeared on Radio 1's Live Lounge on April 6, 2009 to promote No You Girls they covered Womanizer by Britney Spears. They have also collaborated with Marion Cotillard for the 2010 Lady Dior campaign. The band wrote the lyrics and plays the music for the song The Eyes of Mars, while the actress is on vocals. Kapranos noted that it was refreshing working with her as she had a lot of fun going and retrying the song time and time again. In 2010, Franz Ferdinand contributed to the Alice in Wonderland soundtrack with their adaptation of the song The Lobster Quadrille. Later that year, Kapranos and McCarthy collaborated on the song Do It Again with Edwyn Collins on his album Losing Sleep. Name. The name of the band was originally inspired by a racehorse called Archduke Ferdinand. After seeing the horse win the Northumberland Plate in 2001, the band began to discuss Archduke Franz Ferdinand and thought it would be a good band name because of the alliteration of the name and the implications of the Archduke's death. Mainly we just liked the way it sounded, says Bob. We liked the alliteration. He was an incredible figure as well, continues Alex. His life, or at least the ending of it, was the catalyst for the complete transformation of the world, and that is what we want our music to be. But I don't want to over-intellectualize the name thing. Basically, a name should just sound good. Like music. Paul offered, I like the idea that, if we become popular, maybe the words Franz Ferdinand will make people think of the band instead of the historical figure talking to us. This music. The song Take Me Out, on the band's first album, was the second single to be released by the band. The single release of Take Me Out came with the B-side, All For You, Sophia, based on the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand and his wife, whose name was Sophie, not Sophia. The band chose the name Sophia rather than Sophie to give the song a better ring. The song mentions the assassin Gavrilo Princip, the Black Hand, the location of the Apple Key in Urban, the name often mistakenly given to Leopold Lodger, the driver of the car. In addition to this, in 2004 the band played a number of secret gigs under the pseudonym The Black Hands, alluding to the secret society that was held responsible for the assassination of Franz Ferdinand. Art. The band is notable for its use of Russian avant-garde imagery in album and single covers designed by Matthew Cooper. Examples include, You Could Have It So Much Better, which references a 1924 portrait of Lilia Breek by Alexander Rodchenko. Take Me Out, which references 1/6 Part of the World, also by Alexander Rodchenko. This Fire, which references Beat the Whites with the Red Wedge by El Lazitsky. And Michael, with single art based on A Prone by Lazitsky. The song Love and Destroy was inspired by the scene of disorder made by Margarita, a character of Michael Bulgakov's The Master and Margarita, in the apartment of the literature critic Laytonsky. Also, in Outsiders, the lyrics in 17 Years Will You Still Be Camille, Lee Miller, Gala or Whatever are a reference to the lovers of the artists Auguste Rodin, Man Ray and Salvador Dali. Music videos. Many of the videos to promote the band's singles take inspiration from Russian avant-garde, much like their LP and CD sleeves. The avant-garde music video for Take Me Out, directed by Jonas Odell, was inspired by Dadaism, Busby Berkeley choreographies and Russian constructivist design. Alex Kapranos explained the many and varied influences behind the 1930 Seconds-style promo for second single Take Me Out. It's kind of two-dimensional in a three-dimensional style, if that makes any sense. It's a montage of images. Ourselves, pictures and things taken from other places and put together in a strange, abstract way. That's what gives the video that strange, jerky, style. The video for this Fire is similar to Take Me Out in style. The lyrics of Do You Want to make reference to parties at the trendy Glasgow Art Gallery transmission, and the video includes a variety of the work of contemporary artist Vanessa Beecroft, along with a reference to Pink Floyd in the mix. Discography. Studio albums, Franz Ferdinand, You Could Have It So Much Better, Tonight, Franz Ferdinand, Right Thoughts, Right Words, Right Action, Awards and Honors. In July 2009, Franz Ferdinand's Take Me Out was voted number 100 in Triple J Hottest 100 Songs of All Time. Notes. References, Hiat, Brian. Hot Scots a Franz Ferdinand Get Rock Fans Dancing Again Rolling Stone, Rebecca Nicholson retrieved November 30, 2008, Josh Lovesith retrieved March 22, 2008, external links, official website, complete online Franz Ferdinand song video collection.